Good evening and welcome to PENSDOWN, another edition. PENSDOWN is the program where we get journalists to put down their regular working tools and then they join us for a conversation on their journalism journey. The people that give you the groundbreaking stories, what are the challenges they go through, what are the exciting times, and what are the moments they would love to share. Today I have a colleague journalist with me, and I'll be introducing him as we go ahead before we take off. He's a Ghanaian broadcast journalist, editor, and producer with a background in law, defense, and international politics. He works with Asare Broadcasting Company Limited, easily called Asare Radio, in Ghana's capital city, Accra, where he serves as the editor of the legal and political desk. He formerly worked with EIB Network Ghana as a senior broadcast journalist and head of legal, human rights, and presidential affairs desk. He is a product of the Ghana Institute of Journalism, Fordham Law School, Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, and the Armed Forces Command and Staff College. My guest this evening is my colleague, Wilberforce Asare. Good evening and welcome, my brother.
Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for having me.
Right. It's been ages, my brother. How have you been?
Well, I've been trying. I'm around.
I have been reading a lot about you in the past years from the presidency. It's like you are traveling the world. You are enjoying yourself. Okay, so you know, in our society, matters of career, for some people, it's an imposition from parents. For others, it's an interest they pursue. And there is also the in-between. Maybe some advice from parents, they consider their interest. Which one represents your own choice for journalism?
Okay, so I think that when I was growing up, I had an encounter with Cabral Bleamehe.
That's right.
The popular Ghanaian writer, ambassador extraordinaire, and all that.
Yes.
I grew up in the same environment where he was living, where you now have the Daily Guide office at Nima. So I used to go to his house, play with his children, listen to him, read about him, and all those kind of things. I think that I gathered an interest in writing and reading from Cabral Bleamehe. And then while I was growing up too, I saw the man who is now our president, President Akufo-Addo. And all his engagement, to talk and all that. So I found out who is this man and what does he do? I was told, oh, he's a lawyer, and he's this, he's that. So I started entertaining the thoughts about journalism, speaking, talking from these two personalities. Again, I was a church person, and in church, I was doing a lot of communication in church. So I would do the MC at church. I would opt to do the writing if there's a letter to be written in the children's ministry where I was serving and all that. So I think that my training to write, talk, and all those things have come from these three places. From church, probably I'm here, and what I saw President Akufo-Addo, then lawyer Akufo-Addo. So these are the areas that I can quickly pick. There's also, of course, associated with the president is Gabi Asare, because I used to see a lot of writing. I used to read everything that he writes. He was not my friend. I didn't know him. I just liked his writings, particularly about the president, the defense of everything. So I think that these four elements influenced my desire to work. And it's interesting that I have grown up to work with these same people. You know? I don't know how that happened, but I have grown up and I'm working with the president and I'm working with the now.
Yes.
And I am proud about the fact that I work with these two personalities because growing up, they were the people who I was shaping up what I thought I want to do. And for some reason, as destiny will have it, I ended up working with them. So,
wow. And I'm sure for Cabral also, you must have covered a number of events where he was keynote speaker or guest of honor or something like that.
Yes. Several of them, you know, something I did say about Cabral, because we grew up in the same area, the house in which I was living was called Two Sisters. It was like a top spot for big guys to gather to drink in the evening and all those kind of things. And so Cabral is the one who would check my terminal reports. And when I've done well, he will, you know, because he was a journalist, he was attending a lot of seminars and all that. So they will give him these files and notepads and all that. So every time I did well in school, my reward from him was to get a file and a notepad. You know, you see UNESCO, UNICEF, all those things.
That's right.
Those were the awards I was given when I excelled in my exams in Beyonce by Cabral Bleame.
I see. Wow. While going through your profile, I realized you specialize in public relations.
Yes. My focus was, even though the course was designed such that you do both PR and journalism first 2 years, and then in the third and fourth year, you specialize. I specialized in public relations during my last 2 years in the school. Yeah, so indeed, yes, I opted for public relations. And it was actually on someone's advice. The person said that if you practice journalism effectively, you end up becoming a PR person. So I should rather learn about the PR and I'll be able to practice journalism. And when I practice journalism, it would send me back into public relations.
Wow. So that means for you, journalism is a launch pad.
Well, yes, at the time it was, but now I think that no matter what I will become in the future, I will forever remain a journalist because I like to write and I like it when people say they read what I wrote.
Wow.
It makes me feel fulfilled.
Wow. Now your story sounds exciting because there's a situation where you were influenced by, especially for Nanado and Cabral, legends in their own fields, you know, and that is instructive. Gabi was also editor-in-chief and managing editor of The Statesman. So he was also a much senior colleague, you know, who was appearing on major TV and radio programs, contributing to the national discussion. So it looks like you had people within the profession influencing your choice eventually. Now let's look at your training at Ghana Institute of Journalism. How was your training? Was it smooth? Were there challenges? Was there a point you wanted to turn your back on the profession? Or it all went well as expected?
Okay, so at the time of going to GIJ,
yes,
there was no money anywhere to finance the education.
Wow.
It will interest you to know. So prior to going to the school, I was working at a shop at Kingsway, what we now call Swansea Shopping Arcade.
Arcade, yeah.
And we were selling computers.
Okay.
We were selling computers. And so I sold computers for my boss, Zomelo. And over a period of time, I managed to save money to buy one computer for myself.
Oh, wow.
So, and this was in 2002, 2003.
Okay.
So when I finally decided to go to school at GIJ, I met Mr. Makwame, and I told him we go through all the processes, and then I got admission. So I decided to sell this computer that I had saved my money to buy to be the first school fees I paid to enter GIJ. Wow. So that's how I entered Ghana Institute of Journalism in 2004 by selling my computer.
Okay.
School fees. So it wasn't smooth entering. So you can imagine how it was staying.
Wow. Now you did 4 years.
Yeah.
You did 4 years. That's a degree program. Let's assume the first year is cleared. You sold your computer. The remaining years, how did you survive? How did you make it?
Well, so there's something about school. Once you have entered and people around you get to know, there's always the desire to help. But this is one thing that I did. While I was in school, I had a friend that I used to be in church with. I was in the same church with, and he had a shipping company. He had a shipping company. So they were into shipping, clearing, moving people from expatriates who are coming to Ghana, shipping their. So I started working with them. And because I had attended computer school prior to going to GIG, I had basic knowledge about Microsoft Word, Excel, Access, and all those things. This is 2003, 2004.
Then that was an asset.
Yeah, so if I could use computers and type Microsoft Word, use Excel, use Access in 2004, there was no reason why I wasn't going to use that information, that capability to be able to get my fee and then pay my school. That's what I did. I started working with this shipping company. So they were at Jolo. So I go to school in the morning. As soon as I have closed, I'll go there. Sometimes I'm in school and I've just finished with a lecture. The manager will send a car to come and pick me to go to their office because he needs me to type a letter or prepare some documents.
Oh, so that means the car picking you from campus was not some to put you in the light of a privileged student, but it was actually for the urgency of your presence.
Absolutely. So my first year, 2004, 2005, 2006, all those times, anytime there was a car picking me, it was not because I was Dadaba, it was because they were picking me to go and work. People didn't know that. That is how that's what I used to pay my school fees. I got a car subsequently, I think in 2007, 2008 years, the last year or so in school. Then the demands had become so high that I finally got a car that I was using because I was doing a lot of all over the place to survive.
Yeah. Wow. That's quite a story. So for the person who was standing elsewhere, you might be thinking, oh, so this person is from a rich home. Look at how he's being treated, blah, blah, blah. It was a call to duty.
So anybody, so there are people who knew about my background and my background from my family side. I can comfortably say that I had a rich background. That's because I had a very rich uncle. And we Ashantis, we lean towards our uncles.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, I was coming from a rich home because my uncle was a very rich man, had all the houses, all the cars, everything. But I was not a direct beneficiary.
That's right.
So it did not influence my upbringing in any way. So there are some people who got to know that, okay, this man is his uncle, he's a rich man, but he comes to school and behaves like this. He says he can't pay his school fees.
Wow.
That was all because I was from a rich background, a rich home, but those riches did not have any direct bearing on my upbringing and my development.
Oh, I see. Okay, so
when did you? Maybe I should just add, there were times that this uncle of mine would travel and will buy me very expensive clothing. So there were times that I was coming to school and I was wearing very expensive clothing. And it spoke to the story that, oh, the guy is coming for a rich background. But quite frankly, it wasn't. It was just camouflage because this is the rich uncle. Instead of taking care of me, he won't do that. But when he travels, he will buy shoes and big clothing and bring it to me to wear. So that I look what he wants me to look like. I was not ready to invest to become what I really wanted to be.
That's right. That's right. That is interesting. So where did you start your practice? Yes. Yes, go ahead.
So up to today, he still buys me clothing. So it will interest you to know this shirt I'm wearing was bought by him. This uncle I'm talking about, the shirt I'm wearing right now, he bought it for me from Germany up to today. Yes, so
I see. So let's look at your practice. I'm sure on campus you started some internship with a media house or two before you even completed and started formal work or national service. How was it? Where did you start from in terms of practice?
Okay, so yes, so two things. So on campus, you and I were involved with
yes, Sheila,
the communicator. It was GIG News.
News that time. Yes, yes.
But along the line, I also did a 6-month internship at Joy FM multimedia.
Okay.
And I think that in 2005, that opportunity to go to Joy FM multimedia is an exciting one. And that's because, if you 2005, multimedia, I think, started in 95.
Yes.
Or one of them. So
yes.
2005, that would mean that multimedia was about 10 years old.
Okay.
That was when you had all the top guys working at multimedia. So
the Komladomos and the rest.
So rest in perfect peace, yes. And Stan Dogbe, Sena Toklo.
Sena Toklo, yes. Matilda Asante.
Yes. Matilda Asante. Israel Lai.
Yes.
Fred
Avognon and the rest.
Fred Avognon. And Nana, there was this Nana guy who died. He was the business newsman at multimedia, but he died.
Okay.
So you see that at the time that I went to multimedia, at my second year at the university, I had the opportunity to interact with those who were the movers and shakers in the media space, the industry. Yeah. So it helped to shape my understanding of the industry, the sense of urgency, the kind of seriousness you must.
Yes.
And all those kind of things. Kwesy Sapon was also there.
That's right. Yeah. Sapon, yes.
And the editor at the time was Usu. Is it Mr. Usu?
Kofi Owusu.
Yes.
Kofi Owusu.
Just at the time I was there, he was at BBC. So he was doing some engagement at BBC. So I didn't really encounter. But what I'm saying is that opportunity brought me in touch with all the big names at the time in the media space. Yes. And it really helped me because it shaped my understanding of the media. And I remember this gentleman asking me whether I wanted to take the media as a profession, because I went to cover a story. And when I came, I put all the details of the story, everything into one story. And he saw the script. He asked me, do I really want to take journalism as a profession? Because I have written inside the story is about 3 or 4 different stories that I can use on. It was a Friday, so I can use some on Friday, I can come on Saturday, I can use some on Sunday, and I can come on Monday. So he was wondering why I had written everything in one story when I could break it apart.
Yes. But you were there to learn, and such a story was an opportunity with his explanation for you to learn something.
Yes. It was purely an attachment opportunity. So this person I'm talking about is our friend who has a lot of funny jokes. He used to do newspaper review on Joy with a lot of jokes.
Ato Kwame Nadazi.
Kwame Nadazi, yes, he's the one I'm talking about.
Okay. I see. Then you really met about the finest selection of talents at the time at multimedia.
Yeah. I met everybody.
Wow. Now let me find out. people had some perception of some of those on-air personalities. How were they? How was their human relations? How did you find it?
So quite frankly, when I was also going there, I thought that they were people who don't even walk on the floor. Realized that they were ordinary people who eat wache and
that's right.
Take cocoa in the morning. So perhaps my going there changed my perception, because when you hear people speak on radio, particularly then it was joy, you know that they are different human beings. They are, and so I met them, and my orientation changed the very first day.
Wow.
I met them. I got to know that they are ordinary people. Komladumo will walk to the newsroom and talk with anybody. Hey, Charlie, what's up? Where are you going? And then walk out. You'll go and sit down. I had the opportunity to sit here some of the meetings for morning show, because Stamdobe was the producer then, and he was roping me into it. So gradually, I started assisting him with production. I didn't even know at the time that I was doing production. I just knew that Stamdobe said I should call
somebody, so, ask him whether he will speak.
Are you going to? We want you to come and speak on the morning show tomorrow. Are you available? I remember I called Dr. One of the people that I remember at that time calling Dr. Gachi.
Okay.
Dr. Gachi. He made me call him, and I spoke with him, and he says, "Oh yes, he's available. He will come. He will come and do it." So I didn't know I was doing production, but when I grew up a little bit, and I got to know that what Stamdobe was making me do apparently was production.
Yeah. I see. So your 6 months, your 6 months at Joy FM, what was the takeaway lesson for you? That today, what was the takeaway lesson?
Can you repeat the question? I lost it.
I was saying your 6 months at Joy FM, what was the takeaway lesson that today remains an invaluable aspect of your practice or guides you in whatever you do?
Okay, so Joy FM, when I was there, they used to celebrate you when you get the story.
Okay.
So no matter where you are going or what you are going to do, they need you to get the story. So I remember they sent me to Kolebu one time, and they said there was a demonstration.
Okay.
So I just went there, not knowing the people who were keeping the mortuary. The people who keep the mortuary were angry that services they were not being remunerated properly. So they were agitated. So I got them talking with their sounds or their anger and everything. So I come back to the office, and then I say that, when I went, the mortuary people say they are not being taken care of, so they are going to leave the mortuary and get the dead bodies littered on the place if they don't take care of it. And this is 2005. So it was the first time that any such agitation was coming from amongst these people who keep
dead bodies.
Yes. So when I brought this, I remember kwesy saying, Wilberforce, you have delivered.
Okay.
So it was like, that was the story for that afternoon. It was a hit.
Wow.
As young as I was, I didn't even understand what he meant by that. But living there and growing up in journalism, then I realized that Joy FM and the opportunity over there taught me to get the story. That wherever you go, no matter you will get the biggest story. So it has stayed with me such that no matter the nature of the program, there are sometimes some journalists will say, program we free.
That's right.
But I grew up with that. I took that mentality out of the place, saying that it doesn't matter the nature of the program,
yes,
who they say is attending or who is not attending.
Yes.
As soon as it is an opportunity, go for it, because you never know where your big story will come. And that is one of the things that I get all the big stories that I have gotten in my career. Sometimes from the unsuspecting venue, that is where you get the big story.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the things that has engaged my attention.
I see. So has it always been broadcast journalism for you, or there was a time you did a little bit of print journalism?
So I think that I have always done broadcast journalism, but I have also come to like writing. And that's not to say that if you do broadcast journalism, you don't write. Obviously, everything that you come to read, you write it. But I developed script writing opportunity when I started working at EIB Network and started following the president. And that's because I decided to start writing online scripts. So instead of just radio scripts for the president's activities for Star FM, which was the station I was working, I decided that there's online, there's Star, at that time it was staronline.com. So quite not get. So I would now write my scripts in online form, which is what is now known as social media.
Yeah.
And I believed that if I wrote my script for online, out of it, I can still get my radio script and I can even get my television script.
That's right.
So I started doing online writing 2016, following the president during his campaign time as a candidate, and then subsequently becoming a presidential correspondent following his victory and all that. So I have grown up to now like the digital media. I know that if you write for online, online transfers directly into print. You don't need any modifications. You can just publish. Even if you have to do some modifications, probably will just be very minor. So that as a journalist, I would prefer to be a script writing journalist, a published journalist, more than a broadcast journalist. I would rather prefer.
I think personally, I was also reading a lot from your Facebook page. For me, that's where I was picking my stories. Anytime you went on an assignment or you went to cover the president's assignment and then you came back, you put it there together with pictures and everything. For me, that was where I was.
It will interest you to know that every one of those things that I post on Facebook, I write them myself.
Wow.
I write, I transcribe the voices myself. So I've come to love that passion. And even before we started this engagement, I was engaged in writing some stories that the president did today.
So, now let me find this out from you. Covering the president, how tasking is that assignment? How challenging is that assignment, covering the president?
You mean covering the president, right?
Yes, I mean covering the president. How tasking, how demanding is that assignment of covering the president, following him and ensuring you mirror what he did to the public through the media?
Okay, so the president is the first gentleman of the land, and everything that he does is of importance to the country.
Yes.
So, and when you following the first gentleman, you don't have a calendar. Your calendar is what his calendar is. You don't have timelines. His timelines become your timeline. So if I was going for an assignment, let's say by Ghana Integrity Initiative, and they said they are doing it at 10, when I go and sit there at 9:45 and 10, they don't start, I can agitate and say, why have you not started your program and all that? If the president invites you for a program at 1, you must get there at 12:30. If he decides to start the program at 3, you can't go and tell him that, why are you starting the program at 3? Because the president's calendar is not your calendar.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things. You learn to follow the president's agenda and not your agenda as a journalist. So there are times that the president's activities, in fact, most of the time are done on time, but there are exceptional cases where some things of urgent nature may have come up prior to coming to do this meeting, and you must of a necessity attend to those urgent things.
That's right.
So no matter whatever it is, you have to wait. You go to the president's office on the 4th floor, you will see high commissioners, ambassadors, executive officers, all kinds of people sitting down and waiting until you are called. You can't go. And it's the same with us journalists. There are times that we'll go to the 4th floor and we'll sit there for an hour waiting for the president. It's because he's having some other meetings, very important things, national discussions. So following the president and reporting as a presidential correspondent has taught me something about the exigencies of power and the exigencies of managing the country. You get to know that it's not that easy, not as simple as people talk about. Yes, the president, the presidential press corps, and I had a photo with the president. I have seen people send pictures all over the place and say, hey, you took a picture with the president. Wow. And those are the wow moments for people.
That's right.
For me, because I see him every day, it might not be a wow moment for me.
That's right.
But
That's right.
I'm looking at it from the people's perspective, and I'm saying that, look, you probably have an opportunity that other people wish they would have.
That's right.
Don't take it for granted.
That's true. That's true. That's true. That's true. I indeed, when we agreed on this conversation, for now, I was not too sure whether you were still covering the president or not. But my prayer was always that this schedule will not be interrupted.
So, I'll tell you what, I'm in Kumasi right now. I'm not in Accra. Yes. And today, the president had 3 assignments. The last one was at 4:30. So if I were in Accra, I probably would have been doing this Zoom meeting with you in the Jubilee House because I would have been there by now. So I can understand your frustration. It could have happened.
I tell you, because I was wondering, this man that I have sent my trouble to, I hope he can, he'll be available for this time, because if the president says we are moving to so and so place at this time, he has no choice than to, follow suit. Wow.
Yes.
Wow. So covering the president, how did it start? Was it because you followed him during his campaign? Once he won, they were convinced you've had some experience covering him, so you should continue? Or how did it start?
Well, on the contrary, in 2016, sometime in August, I traveled. I traveled to the US in July for a training program. By the time I came back in August, I had my editor then, overall editor, Akolache. Maria Makolache. She was then the editor at EIB Network. So she called me upon my arrival to tell me that there's been a request from the camp of then candidate Kufuor for someone to follow them for the campaign ahead of the 2016 election. And she felt that I was the one. In fact, there had been a request specific by Eugene that he wanted me to come and join for EIB. So I joined 2016 in August. So August, September, October, November, December, that was 5 months. And then the president won the election. When the president won the election, Eugene decided that he was going to stick to all the people he was working with prior to But internally at EIB network, there was a lot of opposition because there were other people who had come into the company who felt that they didn't want me to go follow the president. You know, I was reporting also for courts. Did a lot of court reporting. And I actually love court reporting because that is what propelled me into wanting to study law and subsequently going to study the law and all that. But that opposition was very strong. But Eugene also stood his grounds because he said that he wasn't going to work with any new people. He was going to work with those that he knows and those he has worked with. So it was based on those stands that Eugene Ahin took that kept me on at the Jubilee House. And I also decided that I would prove a point because the level of opposition was quite terrible because some people felt that there were big opportunities there and other people rather deserved it, not me, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So there was a lot of opposition.
So this opposition had nothing to do with your performance necessarily for all the months you had reported on the then candidates at Nana Akufo-Addo.
Okay, sorry, the first part of your question wasn't clear because the line.
Okay, so this opposition, from what you are saying, it had nothing to do with your performance in respect of all the months you had reported on candidate Nana Akufo-Addo during his campaigns while you followed.
Well, not at all, not at all. I'm just restraining myself from mentioning names because
that's right.
I think that the person who was involved doesn't deserve my mention, quite frankly.
That's fine.
I think
that's
so.
fine. That's fine.
But it was just one person. It was just one person who had taken a stance that he knew better and he thought I didn't deserve to be in that space. He thought somebody else had to be there. But the person got resistance from the powers that be. And so he realized that he probably had some power at EIB, but he didn't have power at the Jubilee House. So his power had limits.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Now talking about law. Okay. Talking about law. Now you've done LLB, you've gone to the US to do some law. You know, there's this thing with journalists and at a point taking to law, and it'll get to a time we don't see you on the field again. Are you following suit? What is going to be your own? Are you joining the trend?
Okay. So, you know, earlier on I said that I would always love to remain a journalist. And
that's why you did.
I think that, I think that becoming a lawyer does not take away the job or the profession of journalism, because even for lawyers, you would know that majority of the things lawyers do is to write.
Yes.
Filing your statements of case, your writing letters on behalf of your clients, and all those things are all issues about writing. So
that's right.
I think that if I ever become a lawyer, if I should get admission to Mokola and ever pursue law and become a practicing lawyer, I would remain a very, very committed journalist. I may even attend assignments after I have finished with my law practice, because I have come to fall in love with the profession of journalism. I actually wish that I will continue in that stride. Again, there are people, if you look at outside in the on CNN and all that, most of the journalists specializing in areas like Comoro who recently got dismissed from CNN. He's actually the lawyer, but he comes to sit on TV every day. That's his work. So I don't see myself stopping this aspect of the work. So like Gabi Asare, who will tell you, the other day he said to me that he thinks I write very fast because he has been in this profession for more than 16 years. And now I'm writing faster than he can write. Wow, how am I doing that?
Wow.
So
I think
he as a lawyer has continued writing. And so today, everything that he writes on his Facebook wall, on Instagram or on Twitter, when you read it, you feel a journalist inside him.
That's right.
Though he's a lawyer, a politician, or whatever, his journalism has never left him. It still remains with him. And again, he's gone round, and is still involved in the media now because he owns a media organization. He's always been there.
That's right.
And now he's got radio, media, and all that. So I think that the profession is something that I will stay with for a very long time, if not forever.
Wow. Now this conversation with you is giving a completely new perspective to journalism practice, the future of the practitioner and all. Now, Gabi was one of the people from your initial presentation. Gabi was one of the seniors in the profession that you took inspiration from to follow this career path. You said that earlier on.
Yeah.
Now, how was the feeling like getting an opportunity to work directly with him, and how has it been? Maybe it hasn't been too long, but how has it been?
Oh, dramatic. Okay, so I don't know if I have his permission to talk about his work ethic and his commitment to work, but maybe I do.
Feel free. I'm sure he wouldn't mind.
My few years working with him, or few months working with him thus far, has taught me a very big lesson, and that is paying attention to details. He believes in doing an excellent job and getting the details right.
He's meticulous like that.
So if you are writing, you need to make sure that whatever you are writing, you are covering all the aspects. And so some kind of news can develop. And by virtue of the fact that he is associated with the government in power, he might have access to information. And all he would do is to send you sometimes one line of information, just one line, sometimes not even a sentence. And you as a journalist are supposed to be able to understand, comb around and develop a story, come up with 12 paragraph story out of one sentence that you
now this is interesting. So even despite the fact that he has close connection with government, in his line of work within his media house, it doesn't make journalists feel privileged by feeding them with too much.
Not at all.
This is interesting.
You have to do the work as a journalist. And people don't know, but he is not one of those people who will say, don't talk about the opposition because they are not my friends. Be biased against the opposition because they are against my political party. No, that would be the wrong perception to have. And I have been working with him, and I know that for a fact. So he will let you go get the story. And if you need help, he will help you. But he will let you go for the story. And after you have worked with him for 3 months, if you don't discover yourself as a journalist, you probably will have to stop working as a journalist. You will discover yourself. You will go around. You would feed for information. You will get the direction. look at this, look at that, add this, look here, jump there.
Yeah.
By the time you finish, you would see that when you have written a story, it's comprehensive. One day, someone called me and said that he read a story that I wrote, and the story appeared to him as a thesis because I had never spoken with him.
Okay.
But I wrote things that nobody has probably written about him before. How did I do that? And I said, all the things that I wrote, I got them as a result of searching. Nobody gave me hands down a prepared document and say, oh, this is it. Do photocopy and post it online. No.
Yeah.
It was as a result of, oh, you know this guy. Let's do this. He's doing this. So we do this. But in the course of doing it, is it possible for you to go here, go there, and then this and touch on this? So by the time you have done that mind mapping, you have already touched about 10 issues. So when you are writing this, and you are even writing a paragraph each on the 10 issues, you already have 10 paragraphs. And so when anybody is reading the story, the person is reading a comprehensive document about the subject that you're writing about. So for me, that's one of the things that has been so beneficial. I'm excited about it, quite excited.
Wow. That's good to know. And indeed, I think you are about the first I have spoken to who has really expressed the desire to stay put in journalism. Now, would that mean, now this question is going to be general, not specific to any media house. Would that mean that generally journalism has treated you well in terms of remuneration?
Well, no. Quite frankly, no. The last company I worked with before where I am now, they still owe me about 7 months of salary, which hasn't been paid. Yes.
Wow.
So I've left there for about 1 year and 8 months or so, and they still owe me 6 months or 7 months of salary. So it should tell you the kind of profession that I was in.
Wow.
So those are unfortunate predicaments. You see, the broader picture is this. The broader picture for me is that there is the large notion that journalism doesn't pay in Ghana.
Yes.
It is a perception that maybe it will take us journalists to change and also media owners to change that. Elsewhere, journalism is a very big deal.
Yes.
And it's a very big deal because you are the one who feeds the public with information. So journalism as a profession compares to the profession of a lawyer or the profession of a
favorably. Yes.
Doctor administers healing to the body. The lawyer defends you in the court. The journalist feeds you with information.
Yeah.
Anybody who knows the value of information will know that information is a very, very expensive commodity. We go through a lot of processes to be able to put out the information.
Yeah.
And the people who disseminate information in the country are people that should be taken in recent times, that some organizations are really taking journalism serious. So you would see that most organizations now are putting together their press corps. So it's no longer, I have a program, let me invite journalists to come. Recently, the Judicial Press Corps was inaugurated. And largely, of course, I was involved because I'm the dean of the press corps. But I'm only saying that to emphasize that even the judiciary, for a very long time, didn't see why they should even have a press corps like the parliament has and like the presidency has.
That's right.
We realized that having a judicial press corps is extremely important. And so they agreed, went through the processes, and we got the press corps inaugurated. So I think that we, the journalists, have a duty to help change that perception that journalism doesn't pay by adding a bit more value to the work that we do. There are times that I've gone to some programs, and when journalists dress and they come there, I get sick
It's pathetic. That one I can relate. It's pathetic sometimes.
No, let's add a little bit of value to it. I will never go to the court to cover a court assignment and not be wearing a suit.
Yeah.
I don't see why I should do that. And so gradually we have some parts as journalists that we can do to change the perception of our profession.
That's
by
right.
certain things. There are times I've seen journalists fighting over what we call solid. It is 100 cities, 200 cities, and there's a fight. So we have a duty to change that perception, those things that we need to change. But media owners also have a responsibility to place more value on our product. So
exactly,
my boss doesn't treat me as an ordinary journalist. He treats me as the bearer of information and the information. And so he will make sure that what you are saying, if you go and say something that's not correct, he'll call you and say that, but this thing you said, if you had done a little bit more search, you could have found that there's a lot more to it that you could have said. So some of the things that I think we can do to change the perception.
Going forward, let's assume by the time you are 60 years, retiring, if you look back, your kids, your grandkids, which of them are you going to encourage? Is it your kid, your grandkid? Will you really encourage any of them in the first place to take to journalism as a profession?
Well, yes, indeed, I will. I will encourage anybody who wants to toe my line as a journalist. But I would also tell them to do something extra if it is possible. Because even though I'm a journalist, I'm doing something extra. I am a pastor. I double as a pastor. I do priestly duties. I do pastoral duties. I went into law. I've not completed it yet, but I'm extending my tentacles and I'm still doing journalism. So I will encourage anybody in my generation or in my lineage to and to be a published person. But I will also encourage them to pursue other opportunities that are one way associated with the profession or with other aspects of life. So that's what I will do.
Journalist and pastor, that is an interesting mix. I know you easily say, I'm saying that I'm also the same.
Yeah.
But let's put you on the spot for now. Matters of integrity are critical for a minister of God. And for a journalist, for you to function effectively, you also need integrity. How are you doing this balancing act such that in the line of duty as a journalist, obviously there will be bait here and there, sometimes to compromise and all that. How are you keeping your head above the water?
Well, yeah, so it's a very, very interesting question that you asked, and it has taken me a lot of effort to bring that balancing act. And that's because, this profession is such that sometimes people want to give you money to do something for them, do a story for them, publish something for them, skew something towards them and all that. I have had all of those things coming my way as a practicing journalist. There's something that I have done, and that is that no matter the circumstances I find myself, I will never accept money from anybody before I do a story. No matter the circumstance, that you give me money to go and do a story for you, no way. I will ask you for the facts. What are the facts of the story? Then you give me the facts. I look at the facts and I say, okay, I can write a story about this, but this is what my story will look like. In fact, if you don't mind, when I even write the story, I'll send it to you to review it. I'll send it to you, review it. But in my understanding, based on the facts I have in my checks, this is the story that I can put out with my name under it.
That's right.
So that's what I have always done. And once my story is factual, I don't care what anybody thinks because it's factual.
That's a strong case for integrity.
Yes, when I have finished publishing and you decide that you think I have done a good job and you want to say a thank you, I will not reject it.
That's fine.
But prior to the work and putting out the facts, I have not, and there's nobody who can accuse me of that.
That's right.
Nobody. That's right. Because I think that the integrity aspect of the work is extremely important. And so you should always put that first. Sometimes the temptations have been very terrible because they come at a time when you are very broke.
Yes, you're right.
Your integrity, in spite of the fact that you are broke.
Especially at the time you were being owed 6-7 months salary. And then somebody calls you and says, this is $500.
Yes.
Just forget about this and pocket it.
Yeah. In fact, those temptations have all come. There's been one that came, the person wanted me to bury a story, not to do the story. He said that, well, see, my boss will not allow me not to do the story. So I will do the story, but I will give you the opportunity in the story to tell your side of the story.
That's right. It's balance.
So that it is balanced. I will not do the one-sided story, but I will do that side. But I will give you the opportunity. And those kind of people, I give them a lot of prominence in my story. And that's because I want you to know that even though what I was doing was against you, I give you all the opportunity to
speak up.
Take your side of the story.
That's
and it is in the story. That is what I have worked with. And I think it has really helped me. I continue to work with it this today. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of hard work. But I would rather do the hard work than not do the work at all.
That's right.
So if I'm not going to do the hard work, then I will not do the work at all.
That's right. That's right.
That's the way it is.
Now, as a minister of God and with a very tight schedule as a journalist, how is your profession impacting on, the household of faith and your assignments in the house of God? Are there times you may be needed to preach, but you'll be with the president in maybe Monrovia or somewhere, such that somebody has to stand in for you? What has been the issue?
Oh, well, so there's been several of those kind of happenings where, I'm a lay pastor, so I'm not a full-time pastor.
Okay.
And I'm in charge of the children's ministry in our church. So there have been times that I've been out of the jurisdiction and things have had to be done in relation to the ministry. We've managed it till date. Like this Sunday, I was supposed to be in one of our churches, kwesy, for their Children's Day celebration. But this Sunday, I'm covering the New Patriotic Party's Delegates Conference. That's why I'm in Kumasi today. So I cannot obviously be there. I have to make an arrangement for somebody else to go. But the last 5 years, my church has got to understand that even what I am doing, following the president, writing about the president, could also be my calling.
It's possible,
So the Bible says that the gifts and the callings of God are without repentance. So
that's right.
When God calls you into doing anything, he does not repent from calling you. So let's not block him. Let's give him all the space to continue doing his pastoral duties when he's around. Let's get him someone to assist him so that when he's not around, the work doesn't get hurt. And so my resident bishop will call me if he wants me to lead prayer or be minister on duty or do something. He will call me and say, hey, my international pastor. Oh, yes, I'm around. So this Sunday, will you be around? I say, oh, yes, I'm around. Then he says, okay, then you are going to do this and this for me. I say, thank you, sir.
All right.
When I'm not around, he'll call me and say, oh, no problem. Charlie, all the best. Push, keep pushing. So we've worked out that kind of relationship. And so understanding is there. There's no any challenge.
It's been an exciting conversation with you. Really, really exciting, I know for matters of integrity, once I brought it up, you were going to finish it with all the passion you would master. And for me, for all these years, I think we parted ways at GIJ campus in 2006. And for all these years, by the grace of God, you are still standing firm and resolute. It's exciting. We'll keep praying for you. The job you are doing is quite a difficult one, you know, that God himself will keep you so that you can do more and impact more lives. Truly grateful for your time. Very, very grateful.
Thank you for having me, and all the best to you too.
Right. Thank you. Bye. Thanks a lot for being with us this evening on PENSDOWN. We've had quite an engaging discussion. We are hoping to bring our first female journalists to this platform the next time we are here. So just keep your fingers crossed. If all goes well, our first female journalist to appear on this platform will be with us the next time we are live. If you haven't subscribed, click the red button, the subscribe button, and then the bell beside it so that anytime we are live, you can be part of the conversation.